What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another video with me, Simone. So guys, today we are talking about my week, what's it, week 10? Week 10 matchups to watch. Okay guys, so obviously these are my matchups for week 10 that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. Of course, we got my Philadelphia Eagles playing against the New York Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles have a chance to sweep the Giants and inch one step, well, I'll call it more than an inch, leapfrog closer to clinching the NFC East. So that is definitely a matchup I'm going to be watching. Also, the second matchup, NFC related, is the Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams. DK Metcalf versus Jalen Ramsey. Could Jalen Ramsey be the guy to slow down the machine that is DK Metcalf? We will see, guys. So these are the matchups that I'm watching. Obviously, that NFC West matchup is going to be very interesting to watch, especially since Seahawks, the Rams, the NFC West is in a very tight battle. It's not just the NFC East, and that matchup could determine a wild card spot in the NFC, which means one of those teams might be heading to Philly come playoff time on the wild card weekend. So we'll see. So stay tuned, guys, and let's get into these matchups. Alright guys, so let's start with my Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fans, this is for you. So obviously the Philadelphia Eagles are looking to dominate the New York Giants, and the Philadelphia Eagles are getting a lot of weapons back. Of course, they're going to be getting Miles Sanders back and Alshon Jeffrey back, and that's going to be a big question because it's going to be like, what are we going to do about playtime? Obviously, there's one ball in one field, and Travis and Jalen and Greg and Alshon and all them boys can't be out getting the ball at the same time. So it's about spreading the ball around, and we're going to see what plays are going to be called. Is Alshon going to be taking some plays away from Travis? Folk, that is a question that we are asking right now in Philly land. Obviously, most birds are against the idea of Alshon taking some snaps away from Travis. Obviously, Alshon has been hurt this whole year. So it's like, dang, like you can't come back in now and try to take your spot back. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, brother me. That's not how it works, brother me. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Also, it's going to be interesting to see the quarterback play. Obviously, Daniel Jones and Carson Wentz both neither Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz, let me get my grammar correct. Neither Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz has been the best at protecting the football. So it's also going to come a game that's going to come down to turnovers. Which team is going to protect the ball more? Which quarterback is going to protect the ball more? I have faith in Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is definitely, in my opinion, going to be the one that comes out to shine quarterback wise. Now obviously Isaac Seumalo, our guard, might be returning to play. That'll be a big factor because obviously more protection for Wentz means more play for him. Also, the option of having more of a run game with Miles Sanders back will also protect Wentz as well if he can have more confidence in the run game. Now on the New York Giants side, obviously the New York Giants, they have been in close games pretty much this whole season. And let me give you some details, including against us. So they recently lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they only lost by 2 points. They beat the Washington football team by 2 points. They were in a close game with the Cowboys, a game that they lost only by 3 points. They lost the Rams game by 6 points. Of course, they got blown out by the 49ers. They only lost the Bears game by 4 points. So we could expect this game to be a close matchup for sure, especially since it's in another NFC East matchup, and that's one we're going to expect to be close. So even though the Eagles are going to be getting back a whole bunch of assets, a whole bunch of weapons, they can't sleep on the Giants' ability because they've been in some close games. They've been pretty darn scrappy. Also, Sterling Shepard is back for the New York Giants, so obviously he's going to be taking some targets away from Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton has been dominated by Darius Slay the first time we played the Giants, so that shouldn't be too much of a concern for the Eagles. Now let's talk about the Seahawks versus the Rams. So this is really going to be coming down to wide receiver versus corner matchup. Now the Rams corners, Darius Williams and obviously Jalen Ramsey, have been a very productive duo thus far. Now, can they stop Tyler Lockett though? And can they stop DK Metcalf? Now, they haven't allowed over 70 yards from wide receivers in the last 6 weeks. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, obviously, if I'm gonna bet on somebody to pick them two apart, it's gonna be Russell Wilson, DK, and Tyler Lockett. On the flip side though, obviously the Seahawks have been giving up an extreme amount of receiving yards. They've given up almost 2,300 receiving yards to wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see what Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp cook up against the Seahawks secondary. It's probably definitely going to be a game that comes down to, I really expect a shootout. It's the Seahawks. I definitely expect a shootout, and I definitely expect the Rams to be able to slow down DK a little bit. Of course, it's DK Metcalf. How do you slow him down? DK, let's read off some of his numbers against some other corners. So he put up 106 yards on Xavier Howard. He put up 85 on Stephon Gilmore, 65 on Tre'Davious White. So, I mean, when it comes to matchups, DK is that guy to come out victorious. But it'll be definitely interesting to see how these wide receivers and corners match up against during the Seahawks and Rams game. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be tuned into because, of course, it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it's the Seahawks. But it will be interesting to see if the Rams are the team that will be able to slow them down. And like I said, that's going to be a very intriguing pair of teams in the NFC, because one of those teams could be a wild card in the NFC. So we're definitely going to be stay tuned to both of these matchups. I think these are going to be the most intriguing matchups of Week 10. Of course, you guys might think different, but the matchups in Week 10 are pretty much dry. But let me know what you think. Make sure you like this video, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe.